Hello there everyone, this is Big Benedict. Everything in this video is going to be in the fastest possible fast forward speed because, as I mentioned in the previous video, if I didn't do that, this would be at least 2.25 hours, possibly 2.5, and maybe even 3 hours long of a video. And there's no way in hell sitting in an 80-degree room that I'm going to sit here and do that for that long of a duration. If this were Ninja Gaiden 2, I would gladly sit there placidly in my chair and narrate everything, but this is not Ninja Gaiden 2, so that's the only game that I will ever be so beholden to as a game. But if you've ever looked at the Tonfa, like, its moves are very complicated, and I've been looking at them, and I think after this I'm going to practice the moves quite a bit and see how to work with the Tonfa a little bit, because I really haven't used it except to do UTs, which it has a killer UT. So this game is called Army of Two, and we're playing on professional difficulty. You might hear a little buzzing sound because the previous file is trying to render while I'm talking, and my computer used to not make a sound when it does it, but it does now. So I'm not sure what happens, because I always clean the inside of my computer pretty religiously and clean all the fans, every month or so. So, I mean, it was about a $1,700 computer, and it'll be relevant for another couple of years because I spec'd it out so high, and I always take care of my investments. So, this is Miami, and we're in the airport. In the previous chapter, I was mentioning that it's kind of reminiscent of Max Payne 3, and at the end of that video, I was telling you that they didn't refund me for my Max Payne 3 game that I bought because they're assholes about refunding stuff on Steam. So I'm probably not going to buy too many more things from them, because I'm accustomed to high quality customer service, understanding returns. Amazon.com always gives me my money back. They always do. Everybody does whatever I say they're supposed to do, but not with Steam. So those guys can just go fuck themselves as far as I'm concerned, because they couldn't even give me my money back. They've done it before with another game I had an issue with, but Max Payne 3, I guess I'm stuck with it now. A game that I can't even run it because there's a prevalent problem about the social club. You have to be on the social club network to even play the single player campaign. But this chapter is overly long, far too densely filled with enemies. This checkpoint here is horrible because let me just describe this. I would never venture down here too much because there's just far too many enemies, and if you get clipped, your partner's going to have a hard time of healing you, and sometimes it's really aggravating because instead of a logical place for him to drag you, he'll drag you to somewhere where the scripting in the game would think it's better to drag you, or it's not. See how it is? It's not because it's a human being deciding the factor. It's because it's coded a certain way, and it's just falling back on an if statement. If the player's here, you put him here. It's just, I learned a lot in Microsoft Excel about if statements, and it really opened my eyes a lot to how things are done in computer programming. But if you don't know what those are, it's just, you might want to type it in Google and look at them, because they're really fascinating how those work. But the heavy duty guy, he doesn't move from his position. Like, he'll move on like a track, like left and right where he's located, but he never comes forward unless you force his hand. And even then, I think he pretty much stays in this venue. So it's kind of interesting. Some of these heavy guys, they'll stay situated. Sometimes they'll always advance on you. So exploit that when you can. Like in this situation, just keep shooting everybody that there is, and when everybody's dead, then focus on the heavy. But it seems, honestly, if you're playing this, it'll seem like there's no end to the enemies. And that's always worrisome for me, because I always suspect that the game might not be causing the enemies to spawn until this factor, the factor being the heavy, he's out of the equation. But I can confirm that that's not true. It was just a fear on my own part, especially when I'm doing a 30-minute gunfight at one point of the video, and I'll show you where it is. It's right after you ride the monorail. So, wait a second. Where does he drag me right here? Look at this. He drags me over here when he should have just drug me up the stairs. How fucking stupid is that? Oh my god. You see, and I could have wasted like 15 minutes of my life. Had to go back on that checkpoint. But fortunately, you see how I threw the grenade at that guy? And then his back was to me, and then I shot him, and then he dropped his sack of shit right there. So I'm going to pick it up when I go get it. But yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. You can't depend on the game. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What is this? Another bodyguard? Yeah, I got 2 bodyguards over here for some reason. You're going to have to repeatedly... I haven't even cleared the game yet, but I'm almost finished with this chapter. But all it basically is you're in a room with tons of enemies, and at one point there's going to be a heavy coming in, and you take care of him, and then you'll proceed and likely not get a checkpoint, and then you kill a bunch of other enemies, and a heavy comes, you get a checkpoint, and you just have to be very tentative, and that's why these fights take so damn long. So I got downed again, and a fight like this was about 25 minutes, easily 25 minutes. So I fell down in combat again. And some of these rooms are very spacious too, so it's hard to see where people are, it's hard to get to them. But if you can be patient, you can do these fights. And part of me thinks that this guy spawning twice was a glitch. I don't remember that in the previous campaign. You could check. I think that's why I checked the objectives to see how many guards I had to clear. So at about this point, all the enemies were basically cleared. So now I'm going to pick up all the drops. And this heavy is not dealt with. But you see how it's really advantageous to just clear him when everybody's gone. And I'm really relieved that it doesn't depend on the heavy being alive for the spawns to die down. It's just that there's a lot. There's like 50 guys every single time. Or 30 or 40. Just depends on what it is. So you don't get a checkpoint here. So be extremely careful. Although this isn't too bad, because if you fall down in combat over here, your partner will be able to revive you. The enemies, I don't think they come out of that baggage claim area right there. So you're going to get a checkpoint when you get in there. But just don't rush in there. And our goal is going to be over to the right once we rescue Alice Murray. And every time I vault over or mantle over the cover, I'm always thinking, like, it's so great to be able to slow down time in games like Max Payne 3 and in Vanquish. So maybe I will get that straightened out with Max Payne 3, because at least Steam gave me several dozen links about the problem to see if I could fix it myself. But there's the checkpoint. So we're in this locker room here. Once there's a checkpoint, you're okay to get sloppy. That's how I feel about it. Just clear all these guys out. Yeah, I think in video 1 I mentioned that this chapter took 7 hours for me to beat the first time I played it, and I think that's accurate, because even though I leave my console on, and like there's one time when I remember one night I did the fight for about, it felt like 30 minutes, but it was probably 20, and then I was so tired from having to help my family member that I fell asleep for like 4 hours. I woke up it was at about midnight, and then I came back, and then my game was paused still, so I hit the recorder on, thinking to myself that if I beat the fight, I'll just edit the footage together, and I perished. So it's really tough. So there's a little hiccup here where you're supposed to move the gate around so you can go up this area here, and then we'll rescue Alice. And she's just going to give you some info. Is the story even worth relating? Nobody cares about the story. I don't even care. Like, I didn't even understand the story. It's kind of disjointed. Look at that ass right in the way. My God. But that was, I think a lot of people complain about the story in this game. Hopefully it's better in the next game. Like, who even cares about the story? Like, if I want a good story, I'll sit down and read Paradise Lost. And I'm not going to read this stupid story or watch it. But anyway, whatever those are called, those gates. My dad used to have a store at the mall, and he had those on his shop. Back when I was too young to be anything other than a whining nuisance as a kid, but they're going to open up when you advance. So no checkpoint yet. Just make sure that you're always tentative. They're going to open up. Enemies are going to kind of rush you. So just fall back. So the guy's holding the woman. Obviously, you saw her ass right in the way of everything a moment ago, even though it was fast forwarded. And so he's got her dangling over his shoulder. He'll put her down if you need assistance, but I really don't need the assistance of the AI companion in this game, although I do realize it's a co-op shooter. But I will applaud the game for working very well. It never caused me very much frustration with the companion the way Spec Ops The Line did. Never did. I'm very satisfied about it. And I'm eagerly looking forward to playing the 40th day. Okay, so you will get a heavy coming down here pretty soon. But there's only one. That must be him right there. So what I hope to do is finish this game tonight, which I will. There's no way I can't finish it. So it's pretty much done with the chapter, and then I'll do the commentary tonight, and then we'll be all finished. Then I'll release Ninja Gaiden 2. But I'm not going to dangle or tease anybody with the Ninja Gaiden 2 stuff. It's just that I'm trying to allow those videos to flourish. When you're in the hovercraft here, just follow the waypoint. Don't even bother to hit anybody. Just keep going, and I think we're trying to get the generator running. Watch out for this encounter here. A couple of guys. But my biggest grievance with this problem will always be that you cannot manually switch to your left shoulder and start shooting at any given time. It's unacceptable. It's inexcusable. It's bad. It's bad mechanically speaking. I just don't understand why they would confine it to being on the cover, because it's not like Gears of War games or Uncharted. It's not like you glue yourself to the cover, so to speak. I mean, and sidle along it, and you could even, in those games, you could hold, I think it's A or X to go faster when you're sidling along the wall. It's not like those games. You're ducking behind things in this game. I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's any reason that it should be like that, so... And another thing that I suspect about the body armor, you might be able to run a little bit faster if you're not burdened by body armor. That might be something you might want to. I mean, you might want to put the medium body armor on, just because you can move from cover to cover more quickly and avoid getting shot more. That's one reason you might want to do that. But the reason I don't feel badly about putting the high cover on this is because the enemies get a lot more body armor too, so it is balanced in that respect. But this part here, you're going to get these cutscenes with people trying to shoot RPG missiles at this monorail. You can just sit here and do nothing, and you'll succeed. That's because that's what I do here. I mean, I try to shoot him every single time, I think, but it's only because I wanted to participate in what was happening. And I thought that maybe since this was a higher difficulty, I might be more obligated to do more on this sequence. When I remember before on Contractor mode, which is the lower tier difficulty, not having to do anything but just sit here because there's no integrity to this monorail. It doesn't have a health bar. But it's the fight that's coming up next that is the very long fight. It was 27 minutes, and I shaved it up to 7 minutes. So this part here, yeah, you definitely want to do the co-op snipe here, because if you don't do the co-op snipe, what's going to happen is you'll have enemies running out here, and it's better to just have everybody contained in here, keep your partner back, and it's really boring. It's really boring. Because you see these doors here, these revolving doors, they're not cover. The things to the right are cover. Those little, you'll see me go up against them. And another issue you'll have if you follow my strategy here, which is basically just going to this piece of cover and the piece of cover to the left. I don't like going on the cover to the right, namely because a lot of the grenades will bounce off the wall behind you and hit you. A lot of the enemies in this area throw grenades, but the biggest problem, you can see it right here, I can't switch my shoulder perspective, so I can't hit enemies to the left. And like, what the fuck is the reason they would do that? I don't even understand this game sometimes. So I'm really curious to see if they're going to keep that in the next game, and see if they would have the sense to put it in there. Because the only enemies I can hit safely are these guys on this side, and if I want to hit the other enemies, I can't swap shoulders behind that piece of cover. Yeah, so this was dangerous here. Fortunately, you know, sometimes it just works out. Yeah, this was really lucky. But I've done this part playing it a lot more aggressively, and even keeping the partner back out here, which I always keep him out here. But those grenades always get me. They always knock me down and just cause too many problems. So here I'm getting a couple of pickups. You're gonna run out of bullets a little bit, so you're gonna have to come back in here from time to time. And it's just a big gunfight that's extremely boring with far too many enemies, and then there's a heavy guy that comes at the very end. And the reason he comes at the very end rather than amidst the enemies is because I kill all the enemies first, and then he comes, and then I can deal with the heavy in the safest fashion possible. Another big problem you'll have is your bullets grazing against the environments that you're moving around here, especially these doors. So often you'll be thinking that you're hitting the enemy, but you'll not see his health bar go down, and the reason is your bullets are not hitting the enemy, they're grazing against the part of the door and going nowhere. See, right there, prime example. And I'm not getting more enemies here because I'm not going inside. This is how it is. But I truly hate this whole building. But I will show you how to get the checkpoint. It's pretty simple to secure the checkpoint, but you're going to have to make sure that you clear all these enemies first, then kill the heavy guy. There's going to be like 2 more heavy guys. There's several guards guarding the antagonists of the game, so you're always going to have to dispatch them And after you get this first checkpoint, there is another checkpoint too. So you don't have to do all these floors here without a checkpoint. So there was a point when I messed up. What happened was I got the checkpoint, and instead of interacting with the elevator like you're supposed to, what happened was I started going up the stairs and I killed all the enemies, and then I pressed select to get the GPS, and it did not give me a waypoint. No, it gave me the waypoint, but it was back on the area where I just was. So you have to interact with the elevator, even if it's after you kill all the enemies. So just in case you're curious about that. But environments like this really remind me of Max Payne 3. I mean, that game it's really a mature title. It's really good, like really good music in it, and it's difficult too. So you notice the whole time what I did was I took the rear view mirror off, so to speak, by pressing down on the D-pad, so I could get that off, so I have more visibility over here. And the whole time, Salem's outside, because I don't need him in here getting killed while I'm trying to deal with these guys here. But I will need him to deal with the heavy who's coming up here. So advance a little bit. The second you hear anything like anybody talking or saying send more bodies in here, fall back. That should be what you do immediately. Always fall back. So once he's cleared, go around and collect all the dropped items. And I pushed forward here, but I believe I heard some more enemies. Oh, okay, what happened was, you see there's about maybe 3 enemies left. Some with shotguns, which doesn't make any sense because the shotguns knock you down from this range, which is, are you kidding me? But, you see the elevator door right there? Interacting with that will give you a checkpoint. However, it might not give you the A button prompt until you take care of these final enemies here. But fortunately, they don't come down here. So you might even want to keep Salem, if not outside, just safely behind some piece of faraway cover in passive stance. And like for these kind of sections, make sure you've saved up your grenades and your sniper rifle ammo. If you don't have it, it's not going to be too much of a setback, because I think I only had 1 grenade anyway, or possibly 0. Okay, so there's the checkpoint. See it? And in this take, I reloaded, but at this point in the battle, I hadn't repressed the button because I thought it saved me pressing the button. So there's going to be a point at which I go back down and press it and then come up. And I would have edited that out, but it's already in fast forward, so it won't really matter, because it's just going to be a very quick process of movement. So as you come up here, you're going to be attacked by the heavy. Just fall back a little bit, take him out. And just a couple more enemies, and where you're supposed to go is the elevator control room, which is, see, this is me moving around, not understanding what's going on here because of that, not pressing the door. But this is actually pretty good, because all you need to do is just clear all these enemies. It's good to clear them anyway. And I don't know, I think the elevator control room's on level 2. We're on level 3. So you have to come up here anyway, I believe, to jump on, to mantle onto the elevator. Yeah, almost positive. So there's no avoiding room level 3. It's just that when you come up here and try to mantle onto the elevator, yeah, this was kind of done out of sequence. I apologize about this, and I'm sorry it's in fast forward mode, but I'm trying to explain to you what's going on here. Like at this point, I had cleared every single enemy here, but I was looking to understand what was going on here, because I hadn't pressed that door. And see, it's directing me down there with the waypoint. And I knew I had to go into the elevator control room, but I was depending on what the waypoint was going to have me do. So I'm going to press the button here, which would have been edited out otherwise. And I actually got a checkpoint there. So that's another checkpoint that you can exploit, kind of, because ordinarily you wouldn't get a checkpoint over here until you clear this guy. So a little bit of an exploit, but it's not that much of a necessity to do that. But when you come out here, there's going to be one guy with an RPG across the way. I station the partner over here in aggressive mode until he gets overwrought. Then I put him in passive mode, and it's not too bad. But it's just one of those fights where there's just a lot of enemies. And then when you get over here and clear all the other ones, all the enemies are going to be on the ground floor level, and you'll have the height advantage. That won't be too bad. And you can actually have your partner be a lot more aggressive. So I threw a grenade right there because they were all in a cluster, but by the time that I had thrown it, they had all dispersed. And here's me in overkill mode. I don't know, it's just not that fun to have all these enemies here. At least the Manani is broken up by using the riot shield. You saw me a few minutes ago using the riot shield. Okay, so what it's going to have you do once you clear all the enemies is go to the main desk on the ground floor, hit the button to control the elevator. That has to be the last guy. Hit this button on the desk, and then that's going to allow you to go up the elevator, and there's no more enemies, so thank God for that. But if you're doing this in the normal way without the little mess up that I did about not pressing the button, what would happen is you'd go to the third floor and have to do that third skirmish. So it's kind of confusing, but bottom line is just kill everybody. And then we'll go up here and get a checkpoint. Okay, we have a little bit more to do until we clear the game. You want to do the step jump right here, and then it's going to have you do the quick jump, the quick time event, excuse me. And then we have the final encounter. It's not much of an encounter. It's not a big boss fight, which I was kind of glad for because these kind of games, it's kind of awkward to have that sort of thing. So you'll get a checkpoint right before this, and the last sequence you get a checkpoint in between it, so it's not too bad. But it's just one of those situations. It was another 30-minute fight, so I had to slow it down to about 7 minutes, 6 or 7 minutes. I apologize about that, but it's this kind of game. It doesn't acquiesce very well to a guide. So you're going to get a cutscene over here, I believe, once this is over with. And it's not too hard of an encounter. It's just protracted. So collect all the ammo here. And there's only, I think there's 2 heavies coming up to deal with. Not much longer. I actually thought this was the end of the game the first time I played it because a bunch of achievements popped up. And the achievement for beating the game on this difficulty is called, I think it's Elite PMC or something like that. But here's the last checkpoint right here. Or excuse me, the last area of the game. You'll get a checkpoint, and we're in this. It looks kind of like a library, but it's, I don't really know, maybe a database building or something. It's got a lot of servers and stuff. So all that's going on here is you've got some enemies on this level. You've got a heavy who does not move from the platform above the first risers of stairs right there. And then once you clear everybody, the door won't open until you interact with 4 of the databases to clear your name. And it's just one of those things. You got to be patient, or you're not going to succeed. So there's a pretty good spot if you want to. If from time to time you want to just kind of regroup, it's a good safe spot back there behind the stairs, and especially when you're dealing with that heavy, depending on where he's aiming the gun. Like this, see, I took him out right there. I know it's too fast to even see. I'm sorry about that, but I don't know what else to do about that. it's just a dilemma. So once the last guy's dead, just interact with these servers here. There's 4 of them, and then you'll be able to go up the door. The enemies don't spawn until you get up the stairs. So I'll show you pretty much where they spawn. They spawn right over here, right up there. You can see the first guy. Well, you couldn't see anything, could you? Sorry, I'm really sorry about that. But there's a turret, a mounted gun right up there. So it's not that bad to go up the stairs, actually. When you go up the stairs, there's nothing to the right. There's actually a seat right over to the right. There's nothing there. But the heavy will advance over to this area, and he will go down the stairs too. So it's kind of up to you. There's no checkpoint until you clear this level. So you've got to be very careful. I actually died over here and then had to redo it. And if you ever get into a jam, just run back and also have your partner trailing you, or he's going to fall down in combat. So here the heavy is on the stairs again. Same kind of situation where the other heavy was. And there's also another heavy at the end, but we're required to kill him. In fact, I don't think you can kill him stealthily because he doesn't turn his back. And there's no way to get behind him. There simply is no way, because he's just basically guarding the boss, the boss will have a skull and crossbones in pink above him, and it only means that he's hittable. He's completely hittable, but he's just going to take several rounds of bullets to kill him. Quite a lot, actually, but it's not that bad. He just kind of hides behind the covers over here, except that he hides behind the covers that you can't shoot through. You can shoot the glass out, but not the wooden platforms that are the desks. So I didn't get very many drops over here, to be honest. And we're just watching out for that turret now, and just get at an angle where you can hit it. So you see, I had my teammate in red, and then I went over here and took the turret out. Then we're going to go up here, just take care of whoever who's left. Not many people are left, and then you're going to go over here. And I called up my squad mate to distract this turret here, took him out, and then you're going to get a checkpoint right up here. So I was very cautious because I couldn't recall what actually happens over here. But as long as you go up the stairs, you're going to get a checkpoint. And this is the last area. You will get a lot of these lackeys at first, but do you see the heavy? He's right over there by those 2 cabinets, those filing cabinets right there. He doesn't move ever. So you can shoot him in the head. You can keep shooting him in the head with the sniper rifle, and he would go down. But you're safe over here. He's pretty much a deterrent to keep you over here. And this particular take, I didn't get too many lackeys, so I don't know how that works. There was one take when lackeys kept coming, and I didn't do anything differently. But the bottom line is, the antagonist is across the way. All you need to do is keep shooting him until he dies. He's got a health bar. Right there, I was trying to see how many heavies I had left, and I had completed all the heavies, the bodyguards, I think they're called. But all we're doing here is we're shooting the boss. He's right there. He's got that skull and crossbones. It'll show up in a second. So I'm not sure about these lackeys. They don't seem to be never ending, but I kept getting them a lot of times, and then in this particular take I didn't get them. But they're not going to prevent you from clearing this boss too much. I mean, it's just, to keep shooting at him. If you see lackeys coming, just go down the stairs, keep your squad mate down the stairs, and then you'll get your achievement for beating it on the hardest difficulty. I think it's just 1 achievement, but it is kind of annoying. You could see a shadow. They do a good job at doing silhouetting the shadows on the floor for you to see where he's at, but it's just kind of annoying because he keeps going from place to place, and you can't shoot through where he's at to hit him. And I'll see you in my next project. Thanks for watching.
Come back to that route. There's no way. He's dead. Shit, he's getting away.
I'm sorry it had to come to this. I like working with you both. But this is what happens when you try to take the law into your own hands.
Let's get out of here.
Former CEO of Secure